Imagine for a moment a world without art, without dance, opera, literature, poetry. That world would be a very, very dull place.
Awesome. We are live. Today on the show, we have Patt Knerr.
What's going on, everybody?
A Chicago visionary artist with splashes of neo-expressionism, whose work focuses on how art is a unifying means of personal growth, toning his skills at the Institute of Art of Chicago to include double imagery and using imagery to tell narratives that they perceived individually for each individual viewer. Patt has been traveling as an artist, live painting to Shpongle and at various festivals and events over the years. His latest project, the Pattycast, is a video forum where dialogue of creativity, where artists can interact with their audience and their audience can interact with them so they have a greater understanding of the artistic process. Welcome to the show, Patt.
Hey, what's going on? I honestly thought that you had done like an immaculate job of doing homework until I realized that that's shit that I wrote about myself.
Oh,
so I got really excited for a second. Yeah, I was like, damn, this guy knows me without even knowing me, man. What the fuck? Awesome. Good shit, man.
So you were just telling me that you're about to go paint with the monkeys.
Okay,
I definitely want to pick up where we left off.
Definitely, absolutely. So it's actually, this idea's been in the air for maybe like 2 years now. My cousin who works at the Iowa Zoo, she works with primates primarily. And so about 2 years ago, she was telling me about how she's actually making a dissertation toward kind of helping the aspect of that which is most disgusting about zoos, which is it's just a bunch of animals in captivity.
Right.
So she's an animal lover through and through, and she was like, you know what, maybe I can do some sort of make some sort of goal happen where I can at least diffuse some of that kind of negative relationship that kind of consumes within it. And that was sounding like a bunch of nonsense, but what it actually means is that she created these vending machines. So she created these vending machines that spit out nuts and fruits and all this kind of random, just good protein kind of stuff.
Right.
And they hide these tokens all over the cages. So throughout the day, they can do certain things, or like if they are misbehaving, then they'll have somebody go in and hide tokens all over the place. And then when they find the tokens, they go up and put in the vending machine, and then food spits out. So it's kind of like introducing primates to capitalism. But what she's found is that and I don't know how she gets these percentages. Like she studies this like day in and day out, so I know that it's kind of graphed out at this point. But she said that they have 85% less hostility. Their depression rates are just down lot. Yeah. And so, it's just kind of like a gambling arcade for monkeys, if you will. But and I don't know, I just love that idea because any little step you can do to progress shit, I feel like that is what makes you just feel accomplished in this world. And and so she kind of was talking to me about maybe coming out and just painting with them. And while I was having this idea about the podcast, I was like, it would be a fucking killer idea to go out there and film this whole kind of exchange of getting these monkeys to just paint randomly is all hell. Because what they'll do is sometimes if you give them too big of a canvas, she told me, they'll just put their fucking entire foot through it and then like wear it as a dress and like kind of like dance around with it on it. And then other times they'll put paint on their lips and they'll like kiss the canvas. And so What I really wanted to do, I was telling you about how the Greeks would throw sponges on backdrops, and then
Yeah.
they would materialize imagery from that kind of chaos. Is I'm going to do the same thing with the monkey paintings, and kind of, I don't know what kind of content's going to go on it, because I feel like that, the reason I'm interested in seeing this book on your shelf about Gnosticism is because a lot of it is kind of like it's psychedelic as all hell.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a lot of like how there's different behaviors and archetypes and how they all assimilate to different realities within just being a human conscious being. And so I feel like that what I've been doing is just letting my mind kind of unleash and go straight into the intuitive depth. And I went to art school out in Chicago at the Art Institute. And so a lot of the professors are super heavy conceptualists, and they don't really give a shit about what your technical skill is. They're just like, but what does it mean? I'm like, I'm not about to, but for me, I'm like, I'm not about to just paint a red canvas and be like, so guys, this is worth 50 grand now. There's a whole book that you'd have to read to kind of understand it, but it's fucking there.
I just think that's the wrong way to try and approach art, because
Me too.
art's such an individual experience.
Absolutely.
Everyone has
Definitely.
their own. Well, we were talking earlier how people perceive things symbolically through patterns and
Right.
such. And, symbols, they are vague.
Right, exactly.
People project
Exactly.
their own experience onto them.
Definitely.
And, how so much of how we communicate is symbolically in nature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, art is something that you want to be able to find an individual experience in. That's what causes a person to buy art and another person not to buy
Absolutely.
certain pieces
Absolutely.
to speak to people. So
Definitely.
I don't like the idea of an artist, almost having a definitive meaning. It has a definitive
Same.
meaning for them,
Absolutely.
But that won't be the same for everyone.
Right. And I kind of feel like that's what I base my entire work or body of work on, is the concept of pareidolia.
Yeah.
Which is how the mind kind of operates in image assemblage. So it's like, you've seen the Rorschach pictures, or like is this like a candle, or is it two faces?
Yeah.
And so it's just like your brain, like, based on your perspective and what you're willing, or maybe not even like, because it's all subconscious.
Yeah.
It almost comes down to this like immediate intuitive kind of like, oh, it's a face. Oh shit, it's a candle. Like, whoa. And I feel like that for me, I kind of call that the training wheels for the evolving mind. Like, for the most part, like, I kind of have that, like, it's like a car salesman pitch at this point. It's training wheels for the evolving mind, That's my sales pitch. But it's more so just like, if you want to make your mind perceive more, then why not start with something like a painting? That's like, and for me, I kind of create all these different, and back to what I was saying about my college, is that they would always say, intuition is bullshit. Like, you can't rely on that, because they're coming from kind of like a Freudian, like a Republican psychology kind of like state of mind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
We're looking at it from more of a scientific standard.
Scientific kind of standard. Like,
Yeah.
no, this is this. There's nothing that we can intercept as more than this, which is really fucking strange to me, because.
Well, I mean, and that's the problem with a lot of psychology today.
Right.
Is that the psychology field is just geared toward medications.
Absolutely.
What is an
What's the
empirical
result?
and measurable result?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they've broken the brain down just to basic. Oh, I wouldn't say basic, but
Right.
Just for the chemistry of the mind, how things process. That's the brain. The mind is a different entity. The mind is your identity. It's something more subjective.
Yep. And for me, it's like they're willing, and this is gonna be a little tirade, but it's like my problem with that is, if you want people to buy into your conceptual scientific method, then why can't there be a marriage of both those two principles, basically? Like, the more intuitive, like je me foutisme, the like don't give a fuck attitude, and then the more like rigid, like, no, we're fucking building a staircase towards something, like. And I like that, because it's, and on one end of it, it's like, we need a type of art for every type of thinking. So that's great that like that kind of thing exists, and that people that can relate and like kind of push their own thinking, they can go that route.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a healthy experience for me, by being constantly kind of rejected for that principle of like, hey, let's see what happens when we fill our head and emotion into a clear space. You can just like free flow it out, do some Carl Jungian kind of what was that? The flow of the mind or whatever.
The individuation of the mind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Jung too, because actually, when you were talking about how you need to mend those two sciences together,
Right.
it
You're right.
reminded me of a study that was done at Harvard.
Okay.
They did this study with all of these descendants of Holocaust survivors, and they found out that trauma is inherited, right, through
Right. Yep.
memories.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
The survival gene.
Right, which
Yep.
gives a lot of precedence to the idea of, an inherited consciousness or an inherited collective unconsciousness.
Definitely. Isn't that what RNA is?
Yeah.
Right.
So when they, now you're showing, empiric evidence, biologically that
Yep.
memories can be inherited, it gives a new definition, or at least it should give a new definition to how archetypes are or should be utilized and should be
Definitely
perceived by
right.
people,
Right.
even individually,
Absolutely.
and society at large.
That is probably the best argument, or not even argument, but the best kind of variable I feel like I would bring to a conceptual artist who doesn't agree with intuition, though, is it's like, no, you can break it down to scientific shit.
Yeah,
Like, let's go back to the RNA. Like, why are you inherently feeling a certain way? Okay, then why can't this intuitive side kind of help you get to that meeting point in your head where you're kind of like catching yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why I use the car salesman pitch of evolving, whatever. But it's sorry to cut you off, but it's like, if you can get people to kind of have that eureka moment of like, oh, there's more, there's more, there's more, and like constantly, or at least for me, I always make these images that make you, it's vague enough, so it's like there's not a direct image for the most part for a lot of my work, but there are these little starting points to get you to start seeing the patterns. And then once your brain kind of opens that up, there's like this little weird moment of like, oh my God, there's more. Oh my God, Steve, come here. Oh my God, what the fuck? And so my pretty much goal is to have that moment bleed into real life so that people can kind of become more self-reflective and they can become more aware of their patterns of thinking, because that's what art has done for me. So
right. Well, I mean, whenever people have that aha moment themselves, it's
exactly
so much more meaningful. It's one of the teachers who never helped me at math. Right. Because once you figure it out yourself, just to bring it back to the monkeys, what I think is going to be super cool is like if you're painting with them after they do those splashes and you start showing them how you manipulate.
Oh my
the monkeys having that aha moment.
Dude, they just start speaking English after like an hour. They're like, oh my God, I get it. All right, fuck this vending machine shit, guys. Give me some fucking peanuts. What the hell?
You can have one monkey get super into it and then start like giving his art out for the tokens.
Starts wearing like a tree branch crown or something,
Well, yeah, that's where I think that experiment's going to go wrong. Is when one monkey realizes if he starts just collecting the tokens.
Oh, that's what happens.
Like bossing.
Yeah. They started
doing stuff.
Yep, they started doing that. She was telling me that she's kind of quantifying the patterns of like how it started in the beginning phases of being introduced to it, and then the middle phases, and then she's kind of in the end game of it right now. And she said, yeah, it kind of got to this certain point where whenever the employees of the zoo were kind of away or like gone for hours, like at nighttime and that kind of thing, that the bigger, more dominant monkeys would go around and find all the tokens and hoard them and just like hide them, like re-hide them. Like they wouldn't get aggressive, because I forgot the exact species of monkey. They're not chimps, they're not bonobos, but it's
not orangutans, are they?
Not orangutan. That would be amazing, dude. I know. Oh my God, I would have already painted with them if that was the case. Made a few friends, but the behavior system of these certain monkeys, they're not highly aggressive. Okay. But when you're in isolation, you get aggressive. So she's told me that it's been super rewarding to kind of see that effect start happening where they're more restful, like they like get better sleep, their brains are functioning, they're playing with each other more.
Right. I mean, in essence, it's like a scavenger hunt,
Absolutely.
Scavenger hunts are so much fun when you have a group of people.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a very strange phenomenon, but yeah, I'm excited. And also Zach Brown, shout out, Visionary Voyager. He's going to be joining me for for the photo shoot and the monkey paintings and all that. So
Oh man, now see that would be like a cool series. You could call it like the evolution of art. You know,
Oh,
because
man,
you're starting with like
right.
monkeys doing their
Yeah.
thing, and then you're coming out, taking it to the next level.
I think I know some Cro-Magnons that I can hit up for that part of the link.
Hanging with those Neanderthals.
Yeah, dude. I've got a big forehead. Come here, let's paint.
You reach out long enough, you could probably get Ben Stiller.
Yeah, right, exactly. Paint with Ben. Yeah, no, I'm super stoked about it, man. Super stoked.
Yeah, man, that'd be fun. I can't wait to see some of that footage too.
Yeah.
Because like just the aesthetic of like painting with the monkeys, like you can do so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. See, my thing is I think it's just such a weird thing in general for an animal that's not kind of like, because they're animals, they're highly intelligent, they're self-aware and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But to have them like actually reciprocate what art is, you know what I'm saying? Because I've done a lot of teachings in my past, and I've done a lot of facilitations and open art events and all that kind of thing, and I've seen people that like they're not willing to participate, like something in their head is just like blocking them from actually feeling excited or feeling value of the painting process.
Well, so many people are so self-conscious.
It's that too,
Like,
but
like a lot of people want to do art, but they don't want to do bad art. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's no art that's really bad.
Exactly.
From a subjective standpoint.
Yep. Well, it's almost like the brain creates these like hierarchies, and then you're like, you don't like. For me, if somebody's way better at something than me, I don't ever want to be that, like, no offense, like kind of weak, fearful, kind of like unapproachable person, just because I feel like there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
So I feel like that the one kind of thing that flips that switch for me is like realizing the value of learning in the first place. Like the root fucking essence of it all is, if you get excited about like being bad, then you're going to be good at a lot of things eventually, because you're going to be willing to kind of take that under your wing, and you're going to be thinking about things differently and connecting the new things and having this web grow in your head of familiarity.
Yeah, well, and that comes with, just practice, man.
Definitely.
The more you engage in doing anything, the better you're going to get at it.
Absolutely.
But, I don't know. I just think that as society progresses further, like people just don't have the patience or the attention span.
I think
to sit and
definitely
develop those crafts.
Absolutely. And for me, it's like when you slow things down, you actually do, and you get that like little holy shit, what did I just do thing going on. Man, that's just like such an awakening moment. It's just, it gets you going. It makes you excited about life. It makes you kind of like feel like that there's something beyond just the normal schedule in your life that kind of brings happiness and importance. And
everyone has to have a form of expression.
That's what I think too, man. I couldn't agree more.
Because so many people go through their day-to-day cycles just feeling unappreciated at their job. Family is probably seems more like an annoyance than a blessing most of the time.
Absolutely. Right.
Family
Right, dude. You're a little too patterned.
Right, but people need to have some form of expression, something to, give their frustrations or their, aspirations
Definitely.
a voice, man.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. As long as it's not on Yelp.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, what if artists had Yelps? That'd be so funny.
Oh, man.
Holy shit.
Super fun.
That would be really funny to think about, man.
Man, that'd be a good app to come up with.
Right. And also, man, I came up with this idea the other day where, sorry, I'm going to break away from the topic for a second, but I've got this idea. Anybody can steal it. Just somebody make this happen. Where you basically have a rental gallery. So you can rent a painting for 3 months for like $50 to $100. And you can stay booked as a subscriber. And then you can have a whole plethora of paintings. And if when you get tired of the one painting, or if you wanted to have that one painting for a specific event, or for the summertime, and then the wintertime, I want to go Tim Burton-y versus like some,
That's an awesome idea,
right.
Particularly for businesses. Like
right.
Office spaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're always, renovating like every other year.
Yep.
That would save them a lot of overhead.
And you could do things where, like, if you end up paying for the painting through your rentals, then you just add $150 to the price, just for convenience fees or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no, I feel like that'd be dope. Because
particularly if you could have like a series of drivers that go around, pick them up, swap.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. wearing those white gloves that they wear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the image with that would be everything.
Right.
You want to definitely give off like a professional gallery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've worked in a lot of settings like that, and to be honest, I feel like that I get more genuine connection with people that are like, this is gonna sound so lame. Like I used to, or I'm only saying it's gonna sound so lame because I used to think that this was a lame idea, but the festival scene, dude, that is where you kind of have that moment of aha. You know what I'm saying? Because in a white gallery setting, you're kind of like walking on eggshells. You kind of want to have this like you walk around with your hands behind your back, like, yes, let's smell some fonts today, boys. And you just like put out this posh kind of like professionalism, which I feel like there's a facade to that, because it's like it's kind of like you're doing the used car salesman pitch. If you're like standing in front of your art and you're trying to get people's like attention on sales in the gallery setting, it's like, it's kind of a little soul defeating. But I feel like that at a festival, there's no pressure for people to just come up and say their mind. Like you mentioned, I live painted at Shpongle and 3 months ago now, and I even got to the point where this guy came up to me and he was rolling his titties off. This guy, like, he had moon face and he had just black dots, his eyeballs. And he came up to me and he's like, man, I'm fucking slacking on some gum. And I could hear him just like through the music, I could hear the gum slacking.
He's got like 4 pieces in there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
He's putting it in right.
It's like, that's like his GPS signal. Like I can hear him wherever he's at in the festival. But he comes up and he's like chewing on this gum super loud. And he's like, man, he's like, fucking thank you so much for throwing down. Like, this is so crazy to watch you like actually paint. Cause I do try to make it when I live paint, like a speedy entertainment kind of.
Yes, for sure, man. You want to like go with the vibe of the music.
Definitely, yeah. You want to just not even think about shit. Just like the only thing you're thinking about is color and where it's going.
Yep.
And at least for me personally, I'm not saying that there's a rule of thumb, but so he comes up and he's like, man, he's like, would you mind? And I hate when people say this normally, but he's like, man, you mind if I like fucking put my like throwy on there somewhere? And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, you know what? I was like, I love this moment right now so much. Let's just see what you do, man. He like took a tiny brush and some fucking turquoise and just like threw his little Chicago scribble up there. And it was just like such like a funny moment. But then later after the event closed down and there's like people are just sweeping up, this dude comes up to me. He's like, man, he's like, I fucking been watching you paint this all night. Like, what was up with that? Did you collab? I saw somebody working on it too. And I was like, oh no, that guy was just like in his own world. And I just wanted to amplify the energies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just wanted to keep the balloon in the air for this man. Cause it was a glory day.
That probably made his night.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then he found me on Facebook and we've become pretty funny friends on there. But the guy was like, man, I'm just inspired, man. Like you just threw all this color down, like right here, right now. Like that was really a treat. Like how much are you going for on it? And so right then and there, like I kind of lowballed the piece, just threw it to the guy, and was like, dude, have something to remember this night with, because that was epic. And I feel like that's kind of the connection. Those are like that's the juice that we're trying to squeeze out of that format.
Absolutely. Well, because I mean, that guy, he bought that in the moment. He has a memory attached to that piece forever. And whenever
I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
Like what?
And whenever
what
he looks
the
at
fuck?
it, he'll remember that for the rest of his life. Just like that night and what he was feeling. And
absolutely.
And like, I mean, a lot of it, through the years might be nostalgia, but like
right, yep.
But like, I don't know, man. There's just something about like seeing a piece of art and it makes you feel young again. It makes you feel more
I agree.
vibrant.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
It just makes it such a personal experience.
Definitely, yeah. And when you have those connections, it's like they're basically like these memory tokens. Like you tap into that feeling, that moment in time, and it kind of like
it becomes a symbol for that moment.
Exactly. Just like, and that's why for me, like back to the conceptual side of things, is that there was this one dude, Joseph Boys. I don't know if he was like, dude, that guy. It was like the first conceptual artist that I tapped into where I was like, this guy fucking gets it. And then I learned that he was kind of the forefather of it. And then everybody just started using his formula of like scientific method and making these obscure connections through elements of variables. And he said this one thing that I still say constantly to people, which is he didn't like to go to the galleries. He liked to go to the studios because in his mind, like, I don't know his word for word kind of response to it, but he was basically making the point that when you're watching a painting happen or when you're watching a thing being created, that's the life of it. Like, that's when it's living. Like, this thing is like a living, like not maybe breathing, but it's this like formulaic expression of just like you don't know where you're going with it for the most part.
Yeah.
Like even when you do know where you're going from it, you still don't know until you are working on it. And so what he said is when you go to a gallery, you're going to a wake. You're going to an open casket kind of funeral introduction where when the painting's dead, you're here to glorify the body of it.
Well, and a lot of it just going back to like, the idea of a symbolic moment.
Exactly.
When you're there watching someone create, it's very similar to watching a live music performance. Like you're sharing that moment with that musician.
Yep.
And you're resonating off that energy they're giving, they're resonating off the energy that you're giving out from the crowd. It's very similar watching someone create live art.
Right.
It's because if you're saying, that is the life force of that painting, then that life force is only going to be how long it's being worked on.
Exactly.
So to share in that moment, it's a very temporary thing.
Exactly. And I feel like that's
makes it more symbolic as well.
Right. And it's just, it's like process squared because the whole value and relationship is based on the process itself. And I feel like that, that's the one thing that I'm working. A lot of things going on in my head. Sorry. But I was just painting with this new friend of mine out in Champaign, and he found me, I thought that he was somebody from Facebook that friended me from the whole Shpongle event, because I got 2,000 Facebook friend requests after that.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it blew up. My fucking Facebook page is like a meeting grounds for wookery. I get the best and worst from that whole culture.
You need to start a Facebook group and just get all these books in one place.
Dude, that would be hilarious. That'd be good shit.
The worst comes to worst, you're gonna have a good meme factory.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
But
a lot of screenshots on that page. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the books, they're very similar to the monkeys.
Yeah.
A few reviews
It'd be funny to bring a wook with me, or I feel like
the monkeys would love the wook.
That's what I'm saying. They start grooming them and shit. They're like,
sure.
I got a bunch of snacks up in here.
Yeah, dude, particularly if you got a good guy with a lot of dreads, they'd be about it.
Dude, they probably would, yeah. Yeah, until they just start taking your dreads from you.
Right.
But I'm working with this new friend of mine, and I was trying to make the point of how the process itself is the juice. That right there is that's where you get the eureka moments. That's where the little fractals of self-awareness start happening, where you start seeing the light from the crack in the walls, and you start kind of realizing that there's more and more and more, and it just trickles into life. And it's weird because he's starting from the same standpoint that I kind of did, which is flow of mind, the less thoughts, the better. And so I'm just kind of giving him little suggestions here and there, and he's doing a fucking great job. But and he, for the most part, he said that the reason why he's kind of been struggling with making art is because he doesn't want to fuck up. Back to that idea, he just doesn't want to be disappointed, and that makes so much sense from that standpoint.
Right. Well, a lot of it is also, going back to Jung, that idea of the shadow archetype, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because if you're going off of Jung, that archetype is developed as we, and particularly in adolescence, we jump from social circle to social circle.
Right.
We develop these things about us that we don't view as acceptable, just kind of push them down low, all our doubts, fears.
Right.
And you have to make those failures part of your identity at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have to identify with it and accept it, man.
Definitely, man.
It just makes you more of a whole person.
It really does. It does. But it's it's such a weird thing. For a year or two, I went way too hard in self-critical, mind loops, basically.
Yeah.
Because going to a heavy conceptual academia, I had to fight my way through my beliefs, which made me stronger and become more aware of things like the intuition and actually not just pawn it off as it's just your brain formulating all these past experiences with your genetics. It's no, there's something else way deeper going on. And I've been able to kind of see that from a distance now. And I feel that it's not it's not a system of why we're doing this, I guess. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a system of what the hell is going on with life. In general, and I feel that those kind of moments when you're having the self-awareness moments, and it's a playground for your own mental development in a weird way. And I've kind of like been able to share that with my new buddy that I'm painting with, and it's like you see it in their fucking being when they like kind of hold on to it for just a second, because you can't hold on to it for longer than just a few seconds when you're first starting with it. And when I was going through this phase of like being super self-critical, I was just like constantly valuing the reward more, and it like got me into this fucking cramp. Like literally I painted for 14 hours a day for about 4 months when I was living in Denver. And I made the best work of my life, like hands down. So, like some of the shit that I've been making recently is like better because it's faster and it could be viewed as better.
It's got more going on.
Yeah. But it's like because of those moments where I was pushing myself to like caring about like so insanely meticulous about all these little variables. Every little line had its own little purpose, and like, which it still does, but not on this like OCD level.
Right.
But because I went through those OCD moments, I've accumulated what kind of hyper focus is required for certain stages of the process. So it's like it's at any given time you can start applying more and more to your own self-reflective process. And it was fucking crazy because I was out in North Carolina after that, and I kind of took a break from art. And like I was still like working on things like here and there, but mostly when I had friends around, because that's like the best cheat. That's like the best hack. If you're not wanting to paint, fucking find somebody who wants to paint. Boom! Like there's no excuse. And
yeah, man. When I didn't paint for a long time just for that purpose. That and I had so many paintings just sitting around, like just completed, sitting in boxes. I mean, just the clutter. I can't just sit and make more.
Right. Yeah. Plus, exactly.
But developing community that you can go and have art nights with just to keep yourself
crucial. So crucial.
Because a lot of times, I'll just paint to keep it up and then just give it away because I don't want it sitting around.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. And then you get into that kind of like habit of like your brain is associating fun, happy, progressive, more deeper understanding of yourself, and you're like roping all these positive traits into one muddled little ball. So when you go back in your head and you're like, oh, let's paint, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, painting can be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun, man.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. But if you've got that self-critical, like, oh no, it must be this way, like this line is off, I must repaint it and blah blah blah. But
now, see, that's what I'm a big fan of. I mean, I haven't really gone to any. I just like how it's becoming a thing, is how bars are just having paint nights.
Oh, yeah, true.
I don't know, I have to think about like how different society would be if people just chose to, group and gather with different purposes. People just stop going to bars and, started just focusing on getting together, doing art nights.
Definitely.
Things like that.
Right.
Carpentry nights, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It gives people more of a sense of purpose when they're working together.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's like when you're in those moments of like, it's almost like with my one buddy that I keep referring to, it's like the reason why I said it makes so much sense, that predicament of not wanting to paint because you want it to be perfect and yada, yada, yada. It's like, and like most people know like the healing properties of art, you know what I'm saying? Like how it's almost like a meditation with a physical result.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, when I was a counselor, I did a lot of art therapy.
Oh, word. And, awesome. That's great.
Yeah. I worked with kids who, had experienced a lot of trauma. And one of the things I would do is I'd meet with kids individually, and sometimes we do groups as well. But I would incorporate self-portraits.
Oh, nice.
With self-esteem work. So I'd have them do a self-portrait every time we sat and did self-esteem work. And then, I'd take them, and then I'd collect them. And then, towards the end of, whatever cycle or set we, or a final date that we set to, accomplish this goal, at the very end of the session, I'd show them how their portraits had progressed from being something, usually something ugly, scribbled to something, more colorful. I look at.
Fuck yeah, man. I love that. That's great. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's definitely you nailed it. It's the meditation with a reward, and then you kind of start connecting the timeline in your life, and you're like, oh wait, maybe during this period I was feeling blue. You know what I'm saying? Or I was feeling red and excited and blah, like what was it that it was about that time period that made me feel this way? And then it's like it's like a sand box where it's just like it's playful. It makes your memories like very like you can approach any kind of spectacle in your mind without even knowing it, without having to truly break the walls down and become a different person. You can just become a more evolved version of yourself, which I feel like is the goal. You know, like people like have these expectations of like, no. What happens is I put a lot of work in, then I become a different type of person, which is I'm an amazing artist. And then it's like that term, that identifying, that's like, that's what's stopping you from being it. It's like nobody just like fucking wants to become the best of the best because they're, that's it. Like, that's like, I mean, there are people that want to become the best of the best, but it's like, all right, I thought about this. If you were the last person on earth, would you make art?
No, yeah, that's very true.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good thought to think about, because like if you're the last person on Earth, man, like that's the only. I mean, that your creative outlet is the last gas that humanity will have to define itself.
Right. So then it's like for me, I feel like because I've dug around that question for a while, I would start doing paintings after like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
After like 20 or 30 years, I'd be like, all right, I'm fucking losing my shit. There's nobody around, and I guess that just because nobody's gonna enjoy it, I'll just make it for my own self. Like I'd still find the value in it after a while, but yeah, it's a funny brain exercise to put yourself in there, because there's and that with that question alone, what it really highlights is like how much of you doing something is based around other people.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is just how we choose to use symbols to tell stories of ourselves.
Exactly, right.
Like the one thing, and then this is like the trap I think someone like that falls into when they're ego-based, is I call it self-objectification. When you choose to identify with something rather than yourself, I am an artist.
Yes.
I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, you're not. Like those might be facets, like holding up how you want to define yourself.
Definitely, yeah. That might be your disguise.
Yeah. That might be how you choose to identify, but it's not you. And I feel that that's at least in modern society a trap that so many people are falling into. I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, it just made things so toxic. Like, you can't.
Well, like it almost puts things in like a color umbrella, and it's like, well, this. So blue might have this and this color, and a green might have this and this color, like pigments inside of it. So then there's like relationships of like people that identify. So it's like I used to throw parties in Chicago when I was first in college, and we would invite all these people. We were the only people that had an actual apartment, like outside the dorms. So we would have like fucking 20, 30 people over, and then what I found was like it was like all these social cliques where they would just come over and stand in circles. Like there was no kind of fluidity to the party. Like there was just like people would come over, bring two of their friends, they would sit in one spot, drink with their friends, and never mingle. And I was like, thought it was funny because I was like, oh, that's the hippie group. Like that's the stoner group. That's the guys that keep running off to the bathroom every 20 minutes. Like what's going on here? And my one buddy, Dave, he God bless this man's soul. We used to call him the drunken genius. Mm-hmm. So he just like loved alcohol. It wasn't like an actual like depressing alcoholic, right? Just a guy who drank a lot.
Yeah, he's a
partier. Yeah, exactly. And so one day he was like, dude, I'm fucking tired of these fucking people like just kind of coming over and using our place to drink and not actually contribute to the social gathering aspect. And he was like, you know what? It's like, I'm gonna fuck my hair up and I'm just gonna fuck with people all night. And I was like, all right. So he shaved a reverse fucking mohawk in his head, and then had the Wolverine stash in the beard. And he kept going up to people with like a drink in his hand and be like, hey, so did you guys watch Power Rangers last night, man? Power Rangers was sick. You guys missed it. And then he'd go off and be like, hey, just like do give like weird lists to people. And I swear to God, I saw this happen in front of my eyes where one group, this is the first time this is like me studying the monkeys kind of shit too. I'm perfect for it. But I look at this guy turns around and like looks at Dave and he's like kind of doing that like, who the fuck is this guy? Like just coming up with mocks in his head, like, dude, this guy's about to fucking just tear Dave an asshole. And then this other guy looks back and sees my buddy Dave, and then they make eye contact and they're like, is that your friend? It's like, no, it's not my friend. Oh shit. Well, yo, my name's Bob. Like literally, that fucking popped the cells.
Talk shit about this weird guy together.
Oil and water became one, dude. And then all of a sudden, everybody we put on like, this is how we do it. Like Montel Jordan, like, this is how we do it. And then like all of a sudden, everybody's like, fuck yeah. And I'm like, dude, the village idiot.
Yeah.
Like the fucking Joker. Like the person who's willing to throw their humility directly in front of your face just so you can kind of break up your own seriousness.
It's the trickster archetype.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And the Joker, or the fool, if you will, from the tarot, that becomes the magician later. So the fool is the magician in its essence, but they're on their different scales of their linear kind of time scale.
Well, now see, if you look at that Kabbalistically, it's reversed. The magician becomes the fool.
Oh,
because the fool
shit.
is
Okay.
zero and the top of Kether.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because,
so is it kind of like a self-feeding, like a snake eating its own tail kind of thing?
Well, no, the Kabbalah is based off the tree of life, so it's like the different manifestations of God through like the 32 paths.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically Jewish mysticism, but what a lot of the occult Reformation, like the late 1880s, saw them placing all the different tarot cards on the different paths between the manifestations of God. So basically, when you're reflecting on a tarot card, you're reflecting on the archetypal energy that's connected to a certain kind of manifestation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a color umbrella.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, colors got a lot to do with it because every certain path has a certain color scheme that it goes.
Wild.
With. Every
Man,
sphere has a different color energy associated.
Right. Yeah, that makes all the sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so
you can just limit it down to that kind of like the chakra alignments and how those have their own kind of colors and how those are chakras are related 100%. To the different personalities of your one conscious being kind of thing,
100%. And, just looking at the different chakras, it's very similar because the thing about a lot of the Hindu meditation systems is that they would have different chakra systems based on which gods you were trying to invoke, right? So you have different parts of your body.
Oh, shit.
So you could definitely treat the energy centers on the tree of life in your body as well, with the lowest being at your feet and the highest being at your crown. At your crown.
Right.
But just instead of 7, you have
11. Right. Man, I'm kind of afraid. Like, to be honest, I'm kind of afraid to jump into heavy meditation circles, not like relationships and that, but like as a practice.
Right.
Because I fucking love comedy so much. And I feel like that there's a lot of darkness in comedy, but it's almost like you're becoming the martyr.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like what I was just saying before of the village idiot is you're kind of exposing your ribs to people, your belly. You're like, yo, I'm vulnerable right now, y'all. I hope that you kind of see me putting my hands up and surrender shows that, let's put this weird seriousness behind us for a second,
Well, that also the best comedians are the ones that are self-deprecating.
They
just make fun. You look at Conan O'Brien. He created an entire character that he can just
exactly right. With the hair wiggle and everything.
Yeah. And even to more modern extent, Louis C.K. did the exact same thing.
Oh, of course, yeah, but just hyper fucking comedy right there.
yeah, absolutely. And it takes a level of courage and vulnerability to be able to get on stage because I used to host open mics and
oh shit, okay.
If you've ever gone on stage, do a comedy bit and you bomb, it is the worst,
dude,
ever.
I literally just ate shit the other day. Yeah. Man. Yep. And that's what I'm saying is here are my ribs, and then everybody fucking beats the shit out of you for but they beat you up by doing nothing though. That's the funniest part. Yeah. It's just okay. I just made noises with my mouth and nobody reacted to it? Fuck. There's something wrong with my brain.
But I don't know, man. Comedy is just different nowadays.
It is.
It's so fast paced. You look at guys Carlin, Pryor. They could use their setup for 2 or 3 minutes and then give a punchline.
Yeah. I feel definitely.
Just because social media, everything's so fast.
Everything is very fast paced. But I feel like that because that's the meta.
Yeah.
It's there's always these nerdy motherfuckers, us included. I feel like that you like comics, so you definitely are an obsessive person I am.
100%.
And so it's when you're when you're obsessed with something, you kind of start drifting towards the counter meta. And I feel like that's just how like in the yin yang, the black side has a white dot in it. That's the anti meta. You think about it. So I feel like that there's always going to be a group of people that kind of like jump into that, and then that is the avant-garde. Now the avant-garde becomes popularized, and then that becomes the standard.
Yep.
And like I went to this film, or I took a film's history class, and one of the biggest pieces of information I retained was that there's this really old Jewish lady, fucking Patricia Owens, bless her soul. She's just like an actual hardcore feminist from like the 70s.
Right.
So not like hashtag woke kind of feminism, but
Yeah,
like, hey, we're going for equality here. We're not going for like man
organize in the
bashing.
streets.
Exactly. Let's actually make an effect. Let's not just sit in a classroom and make men feel guilty for being who they are. And
Well, or just like creating, like so much activism is just based on just online rants.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, dude, everybody's has a soapbox now.
Yeah, that's not how change is created. Like, you gotta
But
go
I guess
out
that's how you get the bottom of the barrel to start getting shaken up.
That's very
You
true.
know, like that's like the only way to kind of get things moving to the top is
well, and
you
it's
got to shake it up a little bit.
And so many people, that's their only outlet.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, you know, going
Yeah, yeah.
back to this idea that like everyone needs a form of expression, I feel like when people don't have that form of expression to express their frustrations, that's what they put.
They start feeding into
Facebook.
They start feeding into Instagram. And it becomes a fucking loop.
Yeah.
Where like
And then it reinforces just the most negative.
Absolutely. You find Tinder, you find all these like weird social, like, and that's just because it's so accessible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I'm not the kind of person who like whenever I think that I've got the answer, I'm like, whoa, there's got to be something else. But like,
well,
but a lot of it is
the way
social
you think,
media.
man.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like a lot of the syndromes or the behavioral systems that we have establishing right now are definitely based on just you can tap into a group of people at any fucking moment of the day, you know. But what I was going to say before is this teacher, she taught me like that there's 3 waves of movies or just movie history.
Okay.
So originally you get the classics, and then you get the remakes, the edited versions, which is always the shittiest one, because it's like they're trying to take the tropes of what made the thing a classic new genre in its essence, and then they try to format it in overproduced bullshit.
Right.
And then the third stage of it is once the kind of collective conscious has established this revision and classic kind of formulation, the third step is parody. So it's like once you kind of like once you know the meta, then the only thing to do is to flip it on its head and go counter meta.
Right.
And so I feel like that I've
or to subvert the meta that you're expecting.
exactly
Like what
right.
they did
Yeah.
in, Last Jedi.
Right. Yeah, that was a weird one because they kind of like stuck with it and then changed it, and I liked it. I don't care, man.
I mean,
I heard so many bashings about it so far, but I loved it.
from a writer, I just sat there and like rewrote it in my head in better ways.
Gotcha.
Because like
I got you on that.
my biggest rant that I will give in regards to The Last Jedi is that they knew Carrie Fisher died during production.
Right.
So that entire blue hair or purple haired lady, I forget her name.
Oh yeah. I know
The
you're talking about that, the one that like flew the ship. Yeah.
How better would that movie have been if you would have written out her character and just had Leia be that person? Because her and Poe already have an established son-mother relationship.
I agree.
And then they could have had her go out like a boss and kept Luke around.
Oh, that is so true.
I mean, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, so the snow twist, I'm about it. I don't want to see an Emperor Palpatine in the next one.
Right.
Because I just kind of like the idea of Kylo being the guy.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. Or like the rebuttal, the redemption. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's such a big part of that show, and I love it because like it's so obvious that it's the yin yang fighting itself.
Well, and you know what's great is that like what Star Wars, the difference between the original trilogy and the I won't even say remake trilogy, but the third trilogy in the series is that George Lucas, when he wrote the originals, appropriated archetypes. The new trilogy appropriated tropes.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I guess like kind of like not letting the archetype be the archetype, but like cherry picking variables.
He cherry picked like ancient, medieval kind of archetypal stories,
right?
And then he just mixed it with Flash Gordon.
Right.
So he just completely he subverted what the archetype was, but he kept its core. so he made it new and
Yeah.
inspiring.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, he was reading a lot of Young, I heard, when
Oh,
they were making that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, well, that and Joseph Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Thousand
Hero with a
Faces.
Thousand Faces. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well, and I think that also archetypes, like just at their essence, they tell a story. Both in a narrative sense and in an individual sense. Like people like to perceive things in stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why how we choose to identify ourselves is through stories we tell ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, it's almost like a puppet show.
Yeah,
it's like we're playing out our what we agree with and what we disagree with. We're basically using an outside source to choose and reflect on our own ethics, our system of beliefs, our
100%.
like all these different variables. And that's kind of what I think that art is in its essence. It's like this sandbox. Like I keep saying that, but it's like a little playground for mental happenings.
Yeah. What need do you think that serves when we see stories in art and we try and project onto it?
See, like I said before, like my work is based off pareidolia, so it's all kind of like a make your own story.
Mm-hmm.
And so after maybe a decade and a half now of seeing different types of archetypes come up and look at my work and kind of question, befuzzle it, and I've seen like a lot of different types of people and a lot of the same types. So it's like almost like if I had a spreadsheet and I was doing like a scientific kind of study on it, then I would here's one archetype. This archetype's coming from this angry place or this confused or drunk or happy. Like I've gotten that kind of like meticulous with my observations of how people kind of interpret that. And I'm not even saying just my art. Like for me, it's like if people click onto the idea of what I'm doing and like kind of like follow that and push the boundaries for my own thinking, that's like the best result of the day. Like that is like the highlight of the week. And I'm going to carry that into my next painting and it pushes things. But I've had people come up and, start projecting their meanings. So I had one painting. This is a fucking hilarious story. I was in this manifesto class in college, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. And in my school, it was like 4 women for 1 man, like kind of like that kind of ratio. And so every class, like you're outnumbered. You've got like 2 other dudes in the class, and so it kind of like it'd be the same kind of difference if it was just all men and 2 women. You know what I'm saying? Having those kind of like lopsided ratios, like definitely assimilates a different vibe.
Well, group dynamics in general.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And I'm not saying like, oh, I was outnumbered. Like I'm not doing that rant at all. It's just things are a little bit different. So I was in this manifesto class, like a year or 2 before the Me Too kind of thing started breaking out, and Trump had just won.
Oh.
And everybody was super pissed because Chicago's just a big liberal bubble, and it got popped.
Oh, it got popped hard.
It got popped hard. So there's a lot of hostility in the classrooms. Like, it was not. I'm not saying like woe is me right now, but it kind of sucked to be a white dude at an art school with like 1 other dude in the class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I was in this manifesto class, and for the final, this teacher was kick-ass. She was like, you guys have like basically learned the entire itinerary. Like you guys nailed it. Like we had a really good class. So for the final, fuck it. Like I know you guys have a lot of work, but just bring in one piece of work that you're assimilating these kind of topics to, and then we'll just critique, and that'll be the day. So I made this one piece where
that's pretty cool, Professor.
Really cool,
dude,
really dope, flexible
yeah.
as all hell. Just like made sure that all the knowledge was retained, and then once her job was done, like let's now apply the knowledge and kind of do a psychomagic ritual in front of the class. And so I made this piece where it was like this dude, like it's like very cartoon and blobby. It's on my website, but I think it's called Walmart Bob or something or other. But basically, it's this guy with his head being choked by 2 butts, and then his eyeballs are like popped out of his head, and like it's not that graphic looking. It's like very like Nickelodeon 90s kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And like minimal kind of graphic visuals, and he's got these like, and so on the sides of the painting are these 2 legs with like socks dangling off, and they're both like going butt to butt and choking this guy's head. And he's got like yellow stains in his pits, and he's just like bloated, like raw. And I brought it in, and I was like, yeah, this is my feminist manifesto piece. And like, I didn't want to say much more than that, because I was like, the piece kind of represents how if you get too lopsided in how you're identifying genders, like if you're just like relating everything to a certain gender related topic, then that's not good. Like we got to start thinking of things as humans.
Yeah.
Like the reason why like people get perverted, which is the case of this painting, is because they're assimilating sexuality with gender only. That's the only connection that there's going on. And so it's basically making fun of what was happening at my school at the time, which is like, uh, man bashing, like open man bashing and that kind of shit, which is, like I said, I'm not sitting here like trying to do a spin a fucking woe story, but
no, I mean, I just think that's just a period that society is going through right now, whether it's left or right.
Yeah.
It is identity politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Identity politics.
Exactly. And it's like you said before, it's clashing. Like the colors are too separate, like not like race, but like under the color umbrella, it's like all these different archetypes and subcultures are kind of clashing because they're identifying so much with their one set of
and just going back to that idea of like self-objectification, like when you get into identity politics, that you are self-objectifying your political movement for that one thing.
Exactly.
And nothing good comes of that.
No,
nothing good comes of over-labeling things.
Yeah.
I like things to be more generalized.
Yeah, me too. I like the vagueness, and then I make details in my head. Yeah, definitely. And it's like you just end up getting confirmation bias and thought loops and no real progress. But
now, see, that's a good segue, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, how do you think art can stop or can kind of heal that divide, start breaking down these echo chambers out there?
I think it's context related. Okay. It's because like what I'm learning from comedy and like the story with the feminist piece is, when I presented that piece as a feminist piece, like immediately half the girls in the class were like,
without even examining.
Exactly.
But like going back to the idea we were having about art earlier, like art, one of its purposes is to challenge our preconceived notions.
And I think the challenging aspect is what makes is what's applied to the context. Mm-hmm. So in this context, like I just explained, the liberal bubble, yada yada yada. The lead up to what I'm saying right now is that all the girls in the class that kind of scoffed. Mm-hmm. What happened was 2 or 3 other girls in the class were like, "What are you guys? What's the hubbub?" And I didn't even have to say anything. I wasn't going to sit there and defend myself. I was like, if that's the context of the room is like, fuck you, a man is not allowed to make feminist work.
Yeah.
Then I'm just going to sit back. And so I sat back, and 2 other girls stepped up. I'm not even friends with anybody in this class, by the way. It's not like, hey, let's fight for Team Pat.
Yeah. It's more of their objective experience.
Right. So then half the group, the main population of the room is now arguing with 2 people who are like, fuck you guys. That's wrong. Like, if you can't just say that a man can't help the feminist movement, like you can't, like that is the most backwards shit ever.
Right.
And then they came in and was like, yeah, but this article and blah, blah, blah. And so literally it's like I'm sitting there like Larry David in the middle of these 2 sides of the room, just fucking going at it, dude. And then my teacher, she's like, all right. Okay. I'm going to say that was a tremendous success, because look at what just happened in this room. Look at what just happened. And I feel like that back to the bottom of the barrel needs to be shaken up a bit.
Yeah.
Is that the positive effect of art is just like, it's self-reflective. So it's all depending on what needs to be challenged, what needs to progress, what's the application, and all that becomes the context. And I feel like that what I've been able to do is it's just empathy. Like the more that you paint, the more you grow your empathy, and the more you grow your empathy, the more that when somebody walks up, a different type of archetype and for me, when I'm like assimilating what kind of a person is looking at my art, I don't ever hold on to that, because I don't want to be like, hey, I don't identify, but I can identify you, motherfucker. I don't want to be hypocritical. So like I keep that loose in my head where I'm like, yeah, you've got patterns that remind me of this and that and that. And that's all subconscious thinking,
Right.
And I feel like that what I've kind of grown in my head is this sense of empathy for feeling out who's kind of in the dialogue, feeling out what kind of scenario, like what are the best words that are going to get to this conclusion, and it's like, I might not even know the conclusion. That's like, maybe the part of it is just like to challenge for challenge's sake, right. Just to shake shit up so that people are forced to deal with things. Like Louis C.K. was the one that said that. He was like, I love conflict. It like forces people to think more about their own opinions,
right.
Even if you're being challenged.
Absolutely. Well, because conflict reshapes who we are.
Yeah, right. You're right.
Like, I mean, every experience in a way, it definitely changes how we perceive things. But
right.
Like, when you're in a conflict, whether you come out, on top or under, like you're still going to have through victory or loss, a greater sense of who you are, and what
Absolutely.
you're doing, and what you're capable of doing.
Yeah, man.
Now,
Without a doubt.
now, what do you think that like engaging in the process of art, even if you're not an artist, can like positively reshape how we think about ourselves?
I think that like the first one that I'm going to say is the most silly one, but also the strongest one, which is that it makes you restructure your value system
Yeah.
entirely. Because like, honestly, like I move fucking colors on a flat surface for a living. Like that is the silliest shit in the world. And I don't like the word silly and I don't use it often, but it's fucking silly. Like to take somebody who's like a CEO, like I'm imagining who needs art the most, you know, who needs to self-reflect. But basically what you're thinking is like, you know, when you're in high school or you're in college and you eat acid for the first time, and you're like, man, I want to just spike the water lines with this shit. Man, everyone needs to experience this. It's like, that's like the same kind of thing that art does. Very psychedelic, very mind manifested.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel like that if I were to think like the person who needs it the most, you know, like what would that do for that person? Or what kind of process would it take to get them there? And I feel like that it's silly to think like, hey, guy who makes 10 million billion a year, like sit down, fucking move some colors on a surface. And I swear to God, bro, you're gonna level up, man. You know what I'm saying? It sounds so fucking silly. But what ends up happening is like, you are forced to deal with your like lack of ability.
Yeah.
So it's humbling as all hell. And the other side of it is that when you kind of start getting momentum and you start reflecting and having those aha moments, you're the one that led you there. So like there's like that the whole imposter syndrome where it's like you think that everything that's happened to you is like is good luck. Or it's like you separate your success with who you are. Dude, you cannot do that when you're an artist, unless if you're delusional, unless if you're doing it for a totally branding ego way. But if you're looking at your shit honestly and keeping an awareness of your own kind of practice, it's like you get to these points where you're like, I did that. Like Tom Hanks in on the K or whatever, the movie where it's on the island.
Castaway. Yeah.
Castaway. When he's like, when he makes fire and he's running around and he's like, I made fire! Like, dude, that is what your body, like you literally shake with that energy when you accomplish it. And getting to that point is the struggle. But and that's why I feel like it's silly to kind of be like, hey man, you're going to level up if you just fucking move some stuff on a table. And it's a lot of people can't get past that humbling side of it because like I said, there's these systems of expectation that we have. And that's the other part is like, I love making abstract work and then coming back and then finalizing it, like making it look like there was a planned kind of thing going on, you know, kind of like doing those last touches of it. It's like, I love doing that because I get to use both sides of my brain when I'm doing it. I get to be self-critical all I want. I get to like step back and apply any kind of thinking and any kind of painting application. And then what I was going to say before about when I moved to Asheville is I got a job in a warehouse. And my process is like, dude, it's like a coked out fucking geriatric. Where I'm like, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use yellow. Okay, cool, yellow. Oh shit, that's right. Oh fuck, I forgot to do the orange. Okay, I'm gonna do the orange. And it's like, it's not like that spazzy, but it's like, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And when I started working in this warehouse, it was like, all right, guys, first step of the day, we do this. Second step of the day, we do this. Third step of the day, we do this. And it was like systematic. And what I realized is after a while, my artwork started reflecting that. Like immediately I was like, oh shit, I'm starting to plan things out because that's what I'm doing at work all day. It's like, okay, now I can do this. And then I can zone out. Like once I know that this is the step we're on, oh, okay, cool. Fucking let's do this.
Yeah.
Zone out, whistle.
Hang out there in the moment for a bit.
Exactly. And then when the moment comes where it's like done, I'd be like, okay, boom, onto this one. And it's helped me kind of like restructure my imagery a lot. So it's a lot more cohesive. Whereas like before it was like you get lost in the chaos sauce. And I've come up with this other car salesman fucking quote, which is like stop the smell of the flowers, just don't get lost in the lilacs. You know?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of artists will be like, oh man, then I'm gonna add this, like, or starting artists, or when you're in that starting phase of just wanting to move colors around on the surface, you get too ahead of yourself, and then all of a sudden you just had this like really gross gray or poop green color on your entire canvas. And then you're like, well, I guess I'll just start scratching it, and it's like the chaos will lead you to the weirdest places, and it's up to you to become aware of what you're doing and to save that data in your head, you know?
Well, I mean, I think the chaotic part of it, I mean, it comes it comes very handy because you're able to use that as a way to experiment and discover what works.
Right.
So when you become more systematic later on, you actually start, knowing how you want things to layer and how you want to make things, pop out more vividly. That
exactly.
You already know what techniques you want to bring in certain areas.
Definitely, yeah, and I feel like that legitimately. The one, I guess we just kind of talked it out right now. That's awesome. I've been talking, I've got it in my head, but I'm going to pitch it. Like, I've been talking about this topic for the longest time. I'm happy we had this sit down because it's like, what you're really trying to provide is that the eureka moments is the value.
Right.
And if you can carry that eureka moment and make it a part of life in general, dude, that's almost like finding the tokens in the cage. Like you're like, it's like, 100%. You're like, eureka! Because like there's a meaning. There's oh my God, I'm going to like.
It's an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
It's something that reinforces the positive aspects of who you want to be.
Definitely, man. Yeah. And like, of course they can become cramps but that's why I feel like art's amazing is because it's all relying on your awareness to experience it. Like I'm reading Illusions by Richard Bach, I think, right now.
I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. I've got this tendency where I only read in the sauna.
Okay. All right.
It's really dope, dude, because it's a good way to distract myself, but also kind of like be in the moment while I'm reading something like really, like it's almost like haikus, like kind of like it's not actually haiku labeled, but it's like that kind of layering. Like it's very poetic, very multi-layered. And one of the kind of segments that I read yesterday is it was like, oh man, I'm gonna murder this, but it's basically saying like everything that you conceive is possible. Anything that you can like literally pop in your head is gonna be a possibility. So it's
absolutely.
So really what you're doing is by making art, you're creating more possibilities. Like it's working on this one muscle and belief system in your head that's training you to be able to look at a stick and MacGyver that into like a new thing,
right?
Like instead of, and for me, like you can get there with psychology, but I feel like that then I just get so lost in like the veil of obscurity. But with art, it's like, no, dude, it took me 100 hours to get this expression down. So once you get that expression down, you've nailed it. Like you are hyper aware of what was going on in your head, your heart, your soul. And then from there,
that's a lot of different parts of yourself.
Yeah, right.
Particularly like if you look at like the different ways we perceive things from like, just an observable level to a meta level to a more intuitional level. Like when you're doing art, it merges those different perspectives together in one moment. Right.
It's almost like it's like a disassociative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you get to see yourself in a quantum reflection, and it definitely gets and I guess what I was saying before is it's like you realize how unlimited life really is.
Right.
And I feel like that limitations are the reason why there's certain just cramps, political negative behaviors, and walls that we create for our own selves and to stay safe and all this shit. And it's like, no man, like I've got a buddy who put this into my head a long time ago. He was like, dude, if you're in a scenario where yes and no are the only answers, you're fucking up hard. Like you can always imagine a third option. Like even if you say, and then an elephant fell from the sky, that's an option, dude. like there's like an infinite amount of results that you can kind of figure out in any situation. Or most situations rather. And I feel like that art really gets your head to like start thinking about those what if spaces. And the what if spaces, like everything starts as a thought.
Yeah.
So it's like the more self-reflective, the more that you kind of like can look at yourself, the more like, and I feel like that people are just, they're born morally correct, if that makes sense. Like there's definitely like certain, psychological impacts that can make you less empathetical and all these sorts of like kind of like brain structures. But for the most part, I feel like that if you do something wrong, you're going to feel bad.
Yeah, everybody has something, inherently good in them. Like, that inner sense of what's right and wrong.
Right.
But I think that, when our perspectives make us so numb that we can't relate with, what we might be doing to others.
Exactly.
or, when bad things have happened to us in the past, we are quick to try and distort the situation to justify
it. Exactly. And then we join these Facebook groups that masturbate our unethical behavior that we're confirming each other's biasness with, and I just feel like that's one of the best kind of things that art's done for me, is just like kind of get out of my own head of seriousness and kind of live the village idiot for a little bit and gather what kind of information is in that space,
Well, the one thing that's super enlightening about the village idiot is that, going back to your friend, someone who's willing to do that,
right?
Is
man,
completely disregarding their ego.
Exactly.
It's showing mastery over yourself that,
Definitely.
I don't identify with who I think I am. I can identify with who I want to be in this
Exactly.
moment.
That's why for me with comedy, it's like I like self-deprecating work, but I feel like that people that are amateurs at it, they do it as a way to avoid self-deprecation. So it's like,
100%,
it's you know what I'm saying? 100%. Like they're like, I'm gonna show you what's wrong with me so that you can't hurt me later.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You have to be a master at it to like really nail that kind of humility, where it's like we're laughing with me versus like at me.
Right.
Well,
then, I don't know, I feel like, the self-deprecation humor as well, like, it works better, in the setup as opposed to the punchline.
Yes. Yeah. It's content.
Particularly, I don't know, when I was doing bits, I'd always, play this character that I'm just a creep because I'm a creepy-looking guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a bald guy with a big red beard.
Right.
Like, I'd be right at home in Alabama, though I wouldn't be. But I'd always go off on a story or something, and I'd use these elements to kind of build up the punchline that was happening because it's going to be cringy.
Oh, for sure.
But
but how do you make the cringe laugh? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you?
That's the delicate balance.
It is, man. It really is.
Particularly if you're on stage, doing a bit, everybody in that audience is going to have a different moral compass based on their experiences.
Yep.
So in a way, you're acting, as that trickster archetype, so they can project those experiences onto you.
Exactly. You're holding up a mirror for everybody in the room.
Right.
It's crazy.
And art's the same way, man. Like, when you engage with a piece, you're reflecting yourself onto it, and you're wanting to fish out that story.
Exactly.
That's being told there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it helps you. It just helps you grow your identity, change those things.
That's
reinforce certain parts of yourself.
Definitely. And I feel like that once you kind of get used to this brain pattern of like, oh, this could be something else. Oh, this could be something else. Like it just like it becomes ingrained. That thinking process becomes like, oh, you know what? I'm not the guy who wears the leather jacket anymore. It's like, what? Dude, did you see Tony? He doesn't have his fucking leather jacket on, man. What the fuck? It's like, no, dude, Tony grew, bro. Tony became...
He's wearing the denim now.
Yeah, dude, he's painting with watercolors. He's not Tony anymore, guys.
Doesn't have a leather jacket. He traded in for a beret. It's cool.
Right. And I feel like that one of the biggest walls is like you realizing that you're not allowed to change because it might fuck up your relationships with everybody around you. I feel like that's one of the biggest ones. Like people grow an expectation, and then it becomes this reverb of like,
well, people want to fit the character that other people put on.
Exactly. Right.
If you, particularly, if you're in a place that's a little bit isolated, you're in a small town, whatever the case may be.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's
and you
that's concrete.
You just know the same, 30, 40 people that you're going to associate with in like various friend circles. Once they have an expectation of who you are, you almost want to live up to it.
Yeah,
you don't want to
100%.
Because one, it's not going to challenge the relationships you have, and two, it's not going to challenge how you want to identify yourself.
Exactly. And that was one of the biggest kind of slumps that I went through with art. Was I was like, man, I'm going to influence people to be better and blah 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 blah. And don't get me wrong, that's a great thing to try to approach. But I remember writing like drunk as fuck in one of my notebooks after just like a terrible event where I made work just for that crowd. And I tried to sublimate some of my theorem into those images, and it just failed, dude. It was just so not genuine at fucking all. And I was like, I had some free wine that whole kind of event, And I get home and I'm fucking thinking about it. And I'm like, man, what is my deal, dude? Like, and I'm not saying like, oh, dude, they didn't like my haircut. What the fuck? Like, they didn't like my art. What the fuck them? I was like, dude,
man, my hoodie said he's fucked.
Yeah, dude, I've got the best socks in the room. Fuck you guys. But I'm sitting there and I realize I write this down. I'm like, I'm like, dude, I gotta stop trying to change other people and only focus on changing me. I was like, because if I can showcase the changes in my own kind of development, that is not only the juice that we keep talking about, but also that is the best kind of effect you can actually have on somebody.
Well, that's the alchemy of art, man.
Absolutely, dude. 100%.
As an individual, when you grow as an individual, you start looking outside of your own needs and what you can do for others.
Yep.
You start to become that change in the community that other people, no matter what community you're in, they identify with and they're inspired by.
Absolutely, yeah, man.
Even if it's just, even if it's just fucking getting a 5x5 canvas and just doing a little bit of watercolors or sketching something in your sketchbook.
Definitely, man.
You just inspiring someone to engage in it is going to change their thought process.
Absolutely. And what I've learned is you can't really inspire people by purposefully being inspirational. Then you get lost in that kind of category of people who share inspirational memes all day, but when you look at their lives, they're not really doing that well.
Well,
it's like you're projecting this kind of change that you're not willing to participate in, kind of thing.
And that's one of the reasons why I hate social media.
Me too, man.
Social media is how you want people to see you. It's not who you are.
Exactly. And then people
share pictures of their food or how great this and that is, all the cool things they're doing. But if you're not sharing a genuine representation of yourself, then you're just going through the motions. You're trying to build a brand of who you are.
Exactly. And that branding system, dude, that honestly forced me to leave Chicago for the first time because I worked at Gallery F. I was managing the gallery for 2 or 3 days a week. It started as an internship and grew. And I was working with 3 big art outlets out there. And the people that I kept meeting, and of course the street art scene is huge, and that's kind of where I started connecting with people.
That's the one thing I love about Chicago as a city is, I haven't been to LA and New York as much as I'd like.
Right.
I only traveled through it briefly, but Chicago has some of the best street art.
Dude, it's pretty good. Man. It's pretty fucking, and those are all the old cats though.
Yeah.
The old cats are fucking killer. 50-year-olds with cans are killing it out there. And there's a bunch of young dudes I just kept getting this this loop in my head. And this is back when I was taking my work way too fucking seriously, but while making fun of people who were taking it seriously on different levels, It's no guys, you just don't know semantics correctly. And I was surrounded by a lot of people that I still love this day, but it was just the timing and the pace of my own evolution just was clashing with that branding side of things. And of course you got to make bread, you got to eat. And if you want to make art your passion, then there's certain ways to kind of reassure your success and your survival.
Right.
And a lot of those fucking things now have become the fucking parody level. We're at the parody level of social media almost.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%. That's what...
memes do that for sure.
Memes do that for sure, but you just look at just shit posting in general.
Exactly.
Fake accounts
just to shit post, dude. Exactly, dude.
That's not a parody of what social media should be.
Or no, that's kind of re-edited. Trying to use the original essence as a revision.
I also see it as a difference in how people perceive the internet. How old are you again?
31.
Okay,
almost 31.
Okay, yeah. So I'm 32. So we're in the same age range.
Right.
When we look at the internet, we still look at it as something I'm going on the internet.
Right.
We still remember when the internet was completely anonymous. You had a screen name. A lot of people, kids nowadays, the Generation Z, I think
I think that's it. Yeah.
They just view the internet as real life, and it's not.
No, it's not at all. Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, it's the ones that do end up becoming secluded because you're not a fucking cool kid anymore. You're oh, that's the weird guy who doesn't have a Facebook or and that's why I think that it's starting to finally bubble into the parody, but more of the just overall acceptance of it in our reality, which is a good phase to be on. Once
it's losing its influence.
Exactly that, and it's like the other day I had somebody that was posting bashing foot it was these screenshots. It was so fun. This is one of the weird ass people that I've had an encounter with online from Shpongle, which is kind of on the mentally unhealthy, just trying to do the SJW kind of thing. Just taking screenshots of somebody who posted a kind of homophobic meme. It wasn't, and here's the thing: it's comedy, but it missed its mark. And so it's when it comes to people sharing their comedy online, it's got a different vibe to it because there's certain social cues, right? Like if you say a racist joke, but like people that are who hate racists will laugh at it, it's because you're setting it up for a certain way, and then people can see your way of thinking while you execute it, and then they can go, oh, okay, this guy's making fun of racism.
Right.
He's not participating in it himself. So it's like those kind of like social cues they don't work online, and like you have to actually know the context of a person to know what they're saying. So that's why I was like this girl was like, hey, if you guys could go and block this person and report them for racism and blah 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 blah, and I was like, hey, I commented, I was like, you might want to just save your time. I was like, because what you're saying isn't gonna change them.
No.
And also it's like, you don't want to just get caught up in this kind of shit. Like we should have a little bit more faith in humanity to decide who's racist and not. Like you having an encounter online, what are you going to try to fucking pour concrete on this and just be like, no, you're getting fired. This person, like, that's the crazy part of it that's happening right now.
Oh yeah, well, it's just that everyone's so quick to brand someone racist.
Yeah, and use these loaded terms and shit.
Because, God, I got into an online altercation. It was actually on an art page. They had posted an article about Robert Crumb and, how he's a racist. And I'm like, well, prejudiced, I'll give you, he's probably prejudiced.
Yeah,
just his era and how he was thinking. But, like, a lot of
actively hating.
But just a lot of like the work that he was doing at that time was a
lot of blackface kind of things going on.
But it was a commentary on the racist society at the time. And
exactly.
He knew what he was doing. He was making fun of, the society that was resisting the civil rights movement.
Definitely.
And, just pointing out the hypocrisies in it, because he'd always have like, the little scrawny white guy getting dominated by this big black chick.
Yep.
Just like,
town. Yeah, exactly.
Death by Snoo.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. And that's definitely death by Snoo. And that's why it's so context related. And Andrew Santino, he was on this podcast with Duncan Trussell. I don't know if you dude, I'll send you a link for Duncan Trussell.
Yeah. I'd love to talk to him.
He's like I don't know him personally, but like just as like an observer. Like
for sure.
He's like one of the best comedians for like these kind of talks, like in-depth mystical kind of things, and then he'll tie it into these hilarious directions. But he was talking with this one comedian, and this guy was like, at a certain point, like I can't hold responsibility for your neglect of thinking. Like if which is basically a pretty way of saying like, if you don't get my joke, you kind of have to have some sort of ownership of it, because everybody surrounding you got the social cue. Like they know that I'm making fun of this, and I'm using the shockiness of it as the spike of the punch. And so and for me, it's like I kind of have a hard time doing that, because I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. Like I told a pretty fucking hilarious abortion joke on stage.
all right, I got to hear it now.
And all right, you want me to say it?
Yeah. Go
all right, cool. All right, so basically, I start off and I'm like, I open up by bashing Georgia, and I fall straight on my face. And the two people that went before me on this open mic were fucking blatant racists. They didn't have any of the social cues that were like, hey, it wasn't funny. That's when you know it's real racism.
Right.
When you're like, you got some real hate in you. It's when you're not funny, and you're just talking about racism as a disguise for your own racism. and so I go up there, and like my first joke fails, and I'm just sitting there laughing at myself nervously, because I'm like, oh God, I just can't wait till I get to the abortion. Like, holy shit. And so I was like, so anyway, back to Georgia. I was like, I lived out in Georgia when they were changing all their abortion laws, and like I heard one girl in the audience like go like, oh yeah, say something. And I was like, let's hear it for abortion. And like everybody in the fucking club like claps, because like it's a very liberal town, and also like it's your fucking body. Like you should be able to do whatever you want. That's my belief on it. I don't want to go into that. But so I'm like, so I was out in Georgia during this whole abortion thing. And, like, I'm just like a low B artist. Like, I don't know how I can make an actual impact on these kind of political changes, So, but it got stuck in my head. So after a while, I was like, I've got it, man. What if I started a underground abortion service called At Your Cervix?
At Your Cervix.
And so how we do it is you call our company. We've got a fucking team of trained medical professions. They show up in a beat up, rusty fucking monster truck. And they're wearing like old Motley Crue shirts and like the Billy Bob teeth from Halloween. And you just blend in with the Georgians.
And you can just see like, the logo on the side of the van, you fucking, we suck 'em.
Oh man. But no, you want to keep it camouflaged, right? Because it's Georgia. And so, like, you try to, like, basically, like, it's like, this is like the Underground Railroad for abortions.
Yeah.
And so we come in and, like, we've got all these trained professionals with Billy Bob teeth on and fucking old Motley Crue shirts and to like, then like the kicker is like you bring all the medical appliances in, like empty 30 packs of Busch Light and shit like that. So you just, keep it in disguise and to drown. And this is when, because I had some laughs going on, but this is when it got like really spiky. Is I was like, and I realized how fucking offensive it sounded. As I was like, man, like, and here's the kicker. So to drown out the screams of the abortion, I was like, we play Last Caress by the Misfits. And there was this guy in the audience who's wearing a fucking Misfits jacket. Synchronicity, dude. And I call it out and I'm like, yo, guy, Misfits guy. I was like, you know the lyrics, sing them with me. And it's like, I've got something to say. Bam, bam. I killed a baby today, and then it doesn't matter much to me. Like, so here's the thing: is like at this point, like the room was dead, and then everybody just starts applauding because I lean in and I can actually sing decent. So I was like, yeah. And then I got back to my bit, and it kind of didn't work that well, but.
Well, I mean, but like when you find yourself in that moment, man, you have to lean into the uncomfortableness.
Absolutely, yeah. Like
and use it to play to your strengths.
Definitely, man. And like, of course, I'm thinking like, all right, like this can't be that offensive. Like, it's offensive topic for sure, but like, and I don't think that by pushing the buttons, like by being like I made some more jokes about it in my last set, and it's all about the context. It's all about the setup. Depends on like what kind of energy's in the room and for me, I want to be able to kind of control it and master it and just keep practicing it because if the mood in the room changes and I walk in the room and I'm like, ooh, dude, there are some gun-toting Republicans in this fucking bar right now and they've got 5 friends with them and there's only 8 other people at the mic night. Mm-hmm. I'm probably not going to tell that joke because it's going to make people so hung up on something that I'm not even intending. Yeah, and so it's like I've got my own responsibility to kind of like implement how this is going to work out. You know?
And it's such a culturally, driven issue too. That,
right.
A lot of people's identity, going back to that.
Right.
Like it's just they identify with I'm against this or I'm against that.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you really want to change minds, you have to completely look at how you approach that argument. Like with conservatives, like if you try and debate abortion, because I'm a devil's advocate.
Oh, me too. Me too. With my own self.
And I'll just take the opposite stance just to fuck.
Just to fuck. Yeah, same here.
So I always find at least talking with conservatives, like the moral argument doesn't work, the science argument doesn't work. You have to go with what they believe in, which is at their core small government, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me you want the government to be able to decide what medical procedures you can and can't get? You're telling me you want the government to morality on you? Well, I mean,
that's brilliant. Oh my God, I love that. That's a good tactic right there, man.
Because you can always turn the script on. Jesus said but what if the Muslims took over?
Right. You go the opposite direction, or you lean in.
Yeah, you lean in
on the awkward. Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff makes me uncomfortable. Like,
for sure.
Like, I'm not a conservative by any means. I'm a pretty established progressive that leans libertarian on a lot of things.
I'm not the same
as well.
I relate and talk and hang out with everybody under the umbrella.
You have to.
Yeah.
And see,
no walls.
And see, that's the problem I feel that society is having is that we're not willing to talk with people outside of our circle.
Hell no, man. No. It's like here's the objective answer.
Yeah.
That's it. If you derail that, you're fucked.
Points.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep.
Dude, it's like fucking article titles. That's like the belief system that we have now. It's like I heard on Facebook that if you eat 20 grams of salt, then you'll lose more weight. It's like what?
That source isn't valid.
Yeah.
Snoop is owned by the
Or my fucking, this is the funniest shit in my mind though. It's like, all right, so the Russians are fucking clearly had something to do with the 2016 election, right? Like the Russian bot farming, even if it wasn't the government, it's still an outsourced company that, and dude, there was like some crazy article that I was, see, now I'm getting hypocritical because I'm fucking referencing Facebook articles, but there was, I think it was Vice or somebody, they did this whole fucking documentary on the Russian bot farmers.
Yeah.
Dude, that is like, and so this is the funniest shit ever is that people still try to use Facebook as a political atmosphere, knowing that a vast majority of shit is fake. So it's like that to me proves to me that the people that are on social media that are like being like soapbox protesters and all that, they're not even considering what is the truth.
Right.
Their identification systems are so ingrained in their brains that they're just pawning everything off in their assimilation and their one uniformed idea of what and how things are.
Well, then also it's
like the popularity of a thing is what makes people turned on to it. Like the confirmation. Yeah, the confirmation that they get for their beliefs is more important than the actual discovery. Because I get cringy as fuck on Facebook. If somebody even says like, what kind of colored pencil case should I buy? I'll be like, oh, dog. Okay, so here's what and I'll fucking lean in and I'll fucking source things.
Correct answer is My Little Pony.
I'm gonna go with the ones that look like a hot dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, those ones are sick. But yeah, I'll lean in and I will show my cringe. I'll show my ribs and I'll be like, yeah, dude, I still can use this platform as a way to get ideas from one person to the next. It's not just all okay, bro. I've gotten so many of those okay, bro kind of responses or I hear my friends talking shit about me behind my back, oh, kind of like Pat on social media. I'm like, yeah, dude, I will lean in if something is interesting to me. And if I'm having a bad day, dude, I'll admit it right now. If something fucking irks me, I'll go in and I used to get a little too emotional with it, but now I'm at this point where it's I'll still say something because in the hopes of hey, can I get my perspective in yours perspective?
Right.
Because I'm getting yours and maybe there's a confusion on why I get pissed off at this kind of talk or this kind of content. Let's try to figure each other out. And it's been kind of last week, this one guy sent Eminem is corny as fuck in this one dude's status. And I was like, well, what makes him corny? Is it he's outdated? He's out of touch? He's
definitely outdated and out of touch.
Yeah, but then this guy was he fucking threw down 3 bars of one of his his most recent songs, and I was like, oh, that's just corny.
Yeah.
It's not this guy wasn't saying fuck Eminem. He was nah, dude, he's just rhyming basic shit, and I was like, oh, well, he's doing a parody of himself, dude.
Pretty much.
That's what he's on the parody phase. Okay, I got you.
Well, I mean, well,
not entirely the parody phase.
Musical genres go through that too. You look at
yeah,
rock and roll in the late 80s, the big hair.
Right.
The, Guns N' Roses.
Right.
That was rock being a parody of what it used to be. It was
exactly
rock without its message. Hip hop's going through the same thing.
Right.
With Lil Wayne, shit like that.
Right. Mumble rappers.
Yeah, mumble rappers is just becoming a parody of what hip hop is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's let's just squish out all the juice and use the shells of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that, I mean, you look at the juice, then that's just been anything good about a genre that emerges and reach that parody stage. Anything good about that genre has been assimilated into the mainstream.
Right.
It's time for something.
It's time for something new. Exactly, and that's what it's all about. Is just the change and. I don't know, back to the kind of positive effects of art is that you get adapted to the change. And I found myself in my process where I got I only cared about the change.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my work was chaotic as fuck. And then before I even had that eureka moment of oh my God, I'm living my life out in my art and I'm making my art about my life. And without even knowing it was that, I was changing my mind on shit constantly. I was in that weird, back and forth phase with a lot of things. And, it wasn't until I kind of started becoming more aware of how I was utilizing my art was when I started literally living that way.
You're right.
You know, it's really fucking crazy how that shit works out. If you ever want to change your way of thinking, then use art to get there. That's basically the best kind of form of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you use art as a means of evolution.
Yeah. I guess not change because it's almost like a staircase.
Well, growth.
Yeah.
Use it as a means of growth.
Right.
And that's a good. That's actually a really good idea to close on because we are at an hour and a half.
Nice. Oh yeah.
And I think we covered a lot of good topics.
Dude, yeah, we went all over the place, which I love. I feel like that I've had a great conversation when I can go straight to the deep end and then make a 5-minute story turn into 30 minutes with 5 other minutes of stories inside of it. It's like we literally just fractaled out the way I paint.
Which Absolutely. Is a good way to go, man, because any creative process, whether it's, creating a podcast, creating a video, creating art, you have to, talk about leaning into the awkwardness. You have to lean into that process. You have to let that process almost like you're surrendering yourself to it.
Yes.
You have to let it lead you where
Yes.
it wants you to go.
Absolutely, man. And I could
Also
honestly talk about that.
surrendering to the ego,
Yeah, man. Honestly, if I come back on the show, we'll have to pick up on that note because I've had a lot of crazy psychedelic experiences involving synchronicity and how the kind of like the path of the magician or whatever. Like that's like the I always make the relationship that Thoth, I think, from the Egyptian gods.
Thoth.
Thoth. He was the magician god, and he was the one that made language. Like he made the alphabet and that kind of thing. So I kind of think that art within itself is an alphabet or a vocabulary.
Well, it's language of the unconscious.
Exactly. And man, I've had some. Yeah, we'll hopefully pick up back on that because that unconscious side will lead you to some crazy fucking places.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And just before we get off, what's the website people can reach you at?
Check out pattknerrart.com, PATTKNERR art.com. I've got a little construction going on some of the pages, but yeah, that's a really good gallery for my stuff. And
I was gazing through. You got a lot of good pieces.
Cool, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Is that going to be the website for the Pattycast?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely,
awesome.
Yeah.
And do you have a definitive date on when you're getting that project going?
I'm still waiting on one phone call to kind of get back to my planning, but I want to say definitely March. I'll have an episode out before March.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, good to have you on.
Yeah, for real. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have you back anytime.
Dope.
So, yeah, just everybody like and subscribe, share this video because we want to support the art scene, grow the art scene.